hard to find parking here.
Yes.
Yes.
My goodness. Alrighty. Cool. Okay, here we go.
You're like,
Thank you. Alrighty. What do you guys want to talk about? Yes.
So good news is that the writer's strike is over. So I just wanted your opinion and Jock's opinion on kind of how we see the market coming back in terms of, you know, if there's backup work that we expect to be coming back, you know, within 6 months, 3 months, 1 year, like what is the next timeline? What's that projection?
Let me take my crystal ball out.
Did you bring it?
Always. Hungry for sure. What do you think, Jock, about the end of the writer's strike?
But the end of the writer's strike, yeah, it's a big deal. The thing is, it's already happening big time.
Yes.
The opportunities for you are already there, okay? Independent is going to take over. It already is starting to do that. So there are already incredible opportunities, especially for people like you know, good, strong storytellers that are there in training, ready to go. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for celebrities, not the independents. They're looking for real storytellers. And and we hear that. It's not, we're making this up. We hear it from directors. I just heard it from SAG. I was talking to SAG today. And that's the thing. They're waiting, that they're really already picking up. AMC is already in full production with Walking Dead and a few other shows as well. And the other ones will be coming very soon. I expect the Screen Actors Guild thing to be resolved fairly quickly. And again, that's a guess, okay? But after the writer's strike, it depends on what's in that contract, which nobody's going to talk about right now. And that's not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination. That's got to be approved by their board, and then it goes to the membership for a vote. So if there's anything in there that any of those two entities don't like, it won't go through, especially the AI thing. If that's not resolved, it won't go through. So we'll see what happens. But I think you guys, you know, you're in here, you're working hard, you're learning stuff, and you're staying in shape. Keep going, no matter what, whether it's here or somewhere, you know. Keep going, because this thing is already happening. It's already kind of exploding for the independent film and television all over the world. So for things to get back to normal, don't count on it. Normal is gone, okay? The old way that we did things, the old way we cast films and television shows, the old studio system and everything, it's gone, okay? So this is a brave new world, and the deal is, it's absolutely the world you guys have been preparing for. You are in the best spot, okay? But you've got to stay on top of this. You've got to be aware of productions that are happening, you know, in South Africa, and there's some pretty big ones, all over the world, Mexico, okay? You've got to be aware of what's going on all over the place, and you've got to start applying for that stuff. You've got to start sending people your resume. You know, no matter where they are, you really need to understand all the old rules are gone. This whole thing is wide open, and especially for people like you. So I'd be excited. I'd start to get in shape. I would be working out every day, working on voice and body, getting together with people and doing some, you know, make-believe self-tapes and stuff. I would get going.
That's true. That has always been true, though. Okay, but we're talking about the present right now, but this industry has always had this kind of massive change happening to it. You know, I've been doing this for 20 years. Jock has been doing it for 150. So he's seen a lot more change. He's seen a lot more changes than I have. But you know, even in 20 years, I've noticed the differences. You know, every 5 years, just the way scripts are written these days, so massively different from 2023 to 2021. Okay, do this exercise because you can find a lot of them online. Okay, just read a script in the same genre from today and 5 years ago. Okay, completely different storytelling. And everything changes fast because of technology as well. The way we're filming today, it's not the same as 10 years ago. Okay, you have 5, 10, 30 cameras depending on the size of the production, okay, following you on set, capturing every single moment of your experience, okay? It wasn't like that before. So everything changes very fast. The main thing is, what do you want? Okay? It's not what SAG is talking about. You have to know what's going on out there. But what do you want? As an artist, what do you want? You gotta have that clear.
Yeah.
You gotta know what kind of artist you wanna be, what kind of projects you wanna be in. Why do I do this? Okay, why do I wanna be a storyteller, an actor? What do I want? Don't sit and wait for things to come after you. Okay, for the opportunity to come knocking. Because if you don't know what you want, they will come knocking, but you're not gonna see them. You're not gonna recognize them, or you're not gonna be ready to take them. So you gotta know what you want. Okay, and then you just get ready for it. So when the opportunity comes, you're ready to take it. That's the game. It's pretty much like that in anything in life, okay? So know what you want. What kind of artist am I? What kind of projects do I want to be in? Okay, what makes my heart sing? What am I not willing to do? Okay, know your values, know your principles, and know what you want. Yep.
My question is more for theater. So usually I've learned that you apply for the season and then you can be seen for audition. It's a bit more easier than having your agent going through it for you. But I'm wondering how to go about it because I find it harder than I thought it would be. Anywhere, just any theater company, do you actually just meet one specific person, the artistic director, or I mean it's a bit high up, but you know, do you have any? Because you started in theater, I'm assuming Jock as well.
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen? Was it someone that?
In my time,
Yeah.
in the early 2000s, okay, late 90s, early 2000s, when I started, internet was not what it is today. I think you could send emails, and perhaps that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was all networking. It was all about being out there, going to see productions, going to the events. I was always at the theater. Always. I was watching people's plays, and then if they had after parties, I was there. If they had any kind of workshop in town, I was taking them. Okay, and I was making friendships and getting to know people. If there was anything like, we used to have this international theater festival every year, so I, volunteered, like, can I work, can I help, and I got to meet a lot of people, not just from where I lived, but from other places too. And back then, that was, I guess it is today as well, but it was very valuable to me. A lot of the gigs that I got, most of the time came out of nowhere, of people I didn't know, who had seen me somewhere, and had talked to a casting director, got to see this girl, and then I would get there and they would say, oh, so-and-so recommended you, and I was like, oh, tell them thank you. I didn't even know who they were. And then I would write it down. It's like, who is this person? Let me figure that out. Okay, back then it was like that. I know it's a little bit of, it's the same nowadays, but a little bit of a different game as well. But you gotta be present. My grandfather told me this. He told me, at the time I was studying to be an architect, and he told me, if you want to be an architect, which I was just doing because he wanted me to, because I was already acting. But anyway, you gotta hang out with architects. You gotta know everything architecture. You gotta go to any architecture related events. You gotta live it, you gotta be it, you gotta hang out with people who are like-minded. And he was right. So that's what you guys have to do. I find that artists sometimes are very isolated, especially writers. So if you can befriend them, do it, okay? But that's how it works. And if people are not inviting you for projects or hiring you, it's not because they don't like you, because they don't think of you. It's perhaps because you're not in their radar, because you're not out there enough, So that's the work, and it's a little bit of a, you gotta be there. You gotta be it. Make sense?
Yeah.
I would agree.
No
I mean,
magic
all
wand.
theater work that I got was directors or producers or, artistic directors that knew me and knew my work and had seen my work. Okay, almost all of it. I don't know. There were a few auditions maybe, but that's really the key. And you guys with Fringe Festival and stuff like that, you should be doing everything. You should be getting 2 or 3 of you together, and whoever has the biggest apartment, we're going to put on a play in our apartment, and we got 10 seats if anybody wants to come. You should start doing that. Isabel did that the first year you were in Montreal, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, that's the stuff that you guys should be doing. You're not marketing people. Oh, except for Elizabeth. Okay? You don't have an MBA in promoting, okay, or in business. You're actors. You love acting. You love telling story. Remember the first time you did it and you just went, oh my God, this is what I'm supposed to do. Keep that spark alive by doing it. Just do it. Just keep doing it. And that's how the networking and everything is going to happen, is if you're putting work out there, they will notice.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Thank
Make
you.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no formula to it. I mean, a lot of people will tell you there is, and it's always nice to listen to people and see how they got where they got, but that's their path, right?
Yeah.
There's no one like you. There's only one you, and your path is yours. It's unique. It's being created right now as you walk through it, okay?
Yeah.
So it's how it's gonna happen for you. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see where you're gonna go.
I am too.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing I was trying to say at the beginning. The old rules that you had to get in your union card, you have to get an agent, you can't work in the US unless you get a green card. That's what I meant. All of that is gone. Okay? They are literally hiring people from countries all over the world and bringing them to whatever country they're making their film or their TV show in. Okay?
Yeah.
And, I often say Warner Brothers can get a green card for you in 7 days if they want to. Okay? If somebody wants you in their film, it's wide open now. It really is. That's the kind of thing I was trying to get you guys. And what Isabel's saying, get out there. Meet other people. If you want to do theater, meet other theater people. Hang out at the, what is that, main theater? Whatever's that one in Montreal? Okay. Do the
Central.
Fringe Festival. Get together and do a play in the park, okay? In the rain. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Just start doing it. That's what you guys are good at. Start doing it and putting it out there. That's what's going to get you the next step.
And become it, okay? Sometimes we have a dream. Oh, I would love to do this. I'd love to be that. Are you actually the person right now who matches that ideal image of yourself? If Warner Brothers gave you the opportunity right now to audition for a nice role, would you cave in or would you be able to do it? Could you handle it? Dun, 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 dun. Okay? So ask yourself that question. This is what I want the most. This is what my heart desires.
Yeah.
Do I have the skills, the traits, the attitude, the discipline, or whatever, keep going, of a person who would actually be able to achieve that? And if not, what's missing? What do I have to do? Sometimes it's a simple thing. It's I'm afraid. I don't think I'm good enough, okay? Things like that. You have to be very honest with yourself. If that's what you want. For some people, acting is something that they just love doing. They're not really interested in working for Warner Brothers and having a lead. That's fine too, okay? For some people, they just want to tell meaningful stories. Doesn't matter how or what. So that's what I mean by knowing what you want, okay? And am I a person who matches what I want? So there's a lot of that kind of work that you have to do, because otherwise you're always going to be dependent on people outside telling you what you can do and what you cannot. Make sense? And in this industry, they will tell you. Okay? If you don't know, they will tell you. So just know who you are and what you want. And then go for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions?
What else? Anything else?
Anything you'd like to share? Yes.
I mean, it doesn't have to do with anything we were talking about, but I was wondering about punctuation
Yes.
in the script, because I'm a little confused. I know the scene directions, they're there to tell us, well, the writer's trying to tell us what this feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of times we've been like, you guys have said to like read the punctuation, but then we don't have to play the punctuation, but we need to be aware of the punctuation. So like, what do we do with the punctuation?
I love it. I love it.
Punctuation, I mean, when we look at a writer's job, we understand they have words on a page and they have punctuation. So it is one of the tools that they'll use very carefully and with deliberate purpose, okay? So the thing that you have to know is a question is a question. It's like, it's said to somebody with the idea that you want some kind of response from that. Maybe not the answer, maybe it's a rhetorical question, but the question is still delivered to somebody, right? The other thing that's very common with a lot of you is if you have a section of 3 or 4 lines, okay, 3 or 4 sentences, you kind of link them all together. And the deal is a period is the end of a thought. What comes after the period is a new thought, okay? So I would always, and especially if you're going to be in theater doing Shakespeare, that you absolutely have to, okay, master the punctuation. But the deal is I would do one rehearsal where I'm really paying attention to that. I'm really ending that thought with a period. I'm really asking a question of that other person, okay? Do it to the extreme, and that will help you learn what the screenwriter is trying to help you experience. Does that make sense? Exclamation point is a higher energy than just a period, okay? Every screenwriter is going to be a little different about using ... and dashes. That's why we have you read the whole script. You need to understand, oh, this screenwriter means that's a pause if it's ... Another screenwriter will absolutely say that's a cutoff. You're being cut off by the next line. So you got to kind of see how they use that punctuation. But other than that, a question is a deliberate connection to that other person. That's what I think. So I would do a couple rehearsals, really paying attention to it and see what you learn.
Yeah, to me, from an actor's perspective, the punctuation, because what Jock just said, like a writer, that's how they express themselves. So through words, and they have their own style on how to materialize whatever it is that they're experiencing when they're writing, right? So that's how it comes out, through words and punctuation and whatnot. As an actor, if I'm being a real collaborator, I'm gonna pay attention to what the writer experienced through the words on the script. Doesn't mean that I have to be word perfect for film at least, not necessarily. However, I find that when I try to really connect with what the writer wrote, I open my mind. to new possibilities. Because our first instinct is to just get something new and try to put it in a category, given what we already know. So that's why sometimes the modifications we see in class will be a line modified to serve how you would say it, or how you would experience that line rather than character. And what is character? Well, we can get a little muddy in there, okay? Still you, creating a different persona, okay? But if we don't open up our minds and try to collaborate, what is the writer what was the writer experiencing here, and what kind of, signs or symbols is the writer trying to give me through the words, then I can fall very easily into the trap of just playing myself, just playing a character how I would play it. So I think it's interesting to have both, because you are bringing something to it. You're collaborating as well. But I'd stick very close to the script until I really own the energy of my character. Because once the character shows up fully, they can do no wrong. No wrong. Every choice they make is correct because it's the character, okay? But as long as you're still kind of in between, like I don't fully have him, but I'm gonna try to do my own thing, I mean, good work, okay? But I'm gonna stick to the script, and I'm gonna go back to the script. I worked in plays a lot when I started, and I toured with plays. I think the longest one I did was 11 months. And every week, from Wednesday to Sunday, I'm playing that character for 11 months. Okay, I'm traveling a little bit around Brazil and whatnot. Every week, I'd go back to the script for 11 months. And I tell you, I always found something new. Something that I hadn't seen before because I hadn't the experience. So I didn't have the perspective. So it was that little dance of going back to the script, finding new things, giving my new perspective after having experienced the character for that week. And going back on stage and letting her take off and see what she does with that. Sometimes I've realized, like Jock was saying, oh, it's so funny, I've been putting a period, but this is a question. But at that point, 6 months down the line, I was like, I don't know, I'll let her choose if she wants to ask the question or if she wants to say it. But it was nice to know that the writer meant for her to ask. And then that gave me extra choice. Make sense?
Yeah.
But it's like, bottom line is, you guys have to connect to the character to a point that you are creating authentic experiences. So you're not just taking for granted whatever it is that you're saying or doing in the scene, which is what happens, what Jock was saying, when you guys link all the different sentences, and you're not really allowing the character to change through that experience because you just came up with one idea and you're hanging on to that one idea, which is one-dimensional. And so all those lines come out the same way. And you're just wasting precious storytelling opportunities when you do that.
Yeah, I would just like to reinforce that it's really true that this is your job. You're being hired to find the heart of a character, okay? It is a different persona, or however you want to discuss, how that happens. It definitely, we've proven this in neuroscience, uses another part of your brain and your mind that you usually don't use, okay? So the more clues that you get, and that's what a screenplay is, or a play, it's a map to a story. It's a map to the heart of the character. It's the best that writer can do to try to get all these artists to where the story lives. But none of them are hooked on that. If on a set we find, or on stage, we find, well, it depends on the director, but if we find that you have the heart of the character, right? We're going to let you go, okay? Because you're going to sound like the character. Any changes you make in that script will be from the heart of the character. okay? And it'll work, like Isabel says, anything. The character can make anything work. The other thing I want you all to understand, and this is what I'm experiencing lately, okay? The character is in you right now, or available to you, whatever you want to say, right now. Every story ever written is available for you right now. Every character ever created is available to you right now, okay? You have the tools already to let that character come through you. We are vehicles for a character in the story, got it? Most of our work as screenwriters is getting you the hell out of your way, okay? Getting your ego, your need to do a good job or to do it correctly, to get that stuff out of the way, and you'll be amazed, surprised, and a little frightened at what happens when the character and the story take over, okay? Remember, when they say action or when the curtain goes up, the actor's work is done. It's now the character's time to do the play or to do the scene.
Cool. Alrighty, we're gonna jump into scenes. We send you those emails every week with a recap of the, of the week. Do take the time to read through, and then go back to those lessons. You'll see that some of them are already repeating. Okay, so I think from last week and the week before, there was like the same theme in there that happens. We don't expect you to get it like overnight, but I know it's different. When we say something, when we mention something, we know you understand it, but it doesn't mean you can do it. So I get it. But just once in a while, go back to it with your newfound experience in class, okay? And just have that on your, table. Go through it. Alrighty, let's do scenes.
All right, first up, Daniel and Antoine with All Quiet on the Western Front, second work, and followed by Elizabeth and Sam, Fisher King,